Jayson Tatum is shooting 12 of 38. Yes, 31.6% from the field in the NBA Finals. He's missed layups, he's missed threes, he's missed free throws, and if anyone were to take a quick glance at the box score, I wouldn't blame them for thinking he's actually been a detriment to his team. But what if I told you there's a lot more to the story, and despite the questionable numbers, he's actually been really valuable on both ends of the floor. Boston's offense has been all about hunting for mismatches to attack. Oftentimes that means using Tatum as a screener on a smaller player to get the switch and sealing off position in the middle of the floor for an isolation. On this one he doesn't get the ball as Jalen instead tries a moving three, but here's what it looks like when he does get the pass. That 5 out leaves him with a ton of space to operate, and with a quick move he easily beats Kyrie for a big time finish. Obviously, you can't just leave him one-on-one against smaller players, and the Mavs have tried a few different coverages. This time you're going to see him set up in the corner, so they bring a second defender over from the weak side to load up early. He forces that defender to commit before dropping it off to a cutting Jalen. Here's a real similar play with the open corner post-up, and again you're going to see that second defender commit to the ball. From there, he patiently waits for someone to cut into all that open space, and Holiday's got an easy finish. For the most part though, Tatum's presence has been felt as a downhill attacker. Here he gets cross-matched with Kyrie in semi-transition and easily gets around him on his way to a layup. This time it's Luka who picks him up in the half court. Again, an easy blow-by, and after running into help he goes up strong for 2 plus a foul. Luka is the least agile defender on the Mavs, so that means he's the one being relentlessly hunted on these switches. And to make things even tougher, the Celtics have been taking whoever Kyrie's guarding and putting them in the dunker spot, meaning that when Tatum eventually blows by Luka, there's nobody to protect the rim. Here's another one just like that, except instead of Luka on the ball, it's Gafford who can't contain him off the dribble either, leaving Kyrie with only one option as he sends him to the line. Bigs have been food for Tatum in this series, generating paint touch after paint touch, and with Luka as the low man, that's an easy finish. Well, not quite. Through 2 games, Tatum has attempted 13 shots at the rim, and he's made 7 of them. That's just 53.9% shooting, well below the 71% he shot in the regular season. Some of these misses have been objectively hilarious. Like, this might have been the worst dunk attempt of the year, and on this one, I'm really not sure what he was thinking, trying to go for a crazy highlight slam that doesn't even come close to working. Some of them, though, have just been a case of missing layups he typically makes within a small sample of shots. What's important here isn't whether or not he's shooting a high percentage, but rather if he's staying aggressive and continuing to apply pressure, which would be an understatement. And because that pressure has held up, while he typically finishes at the rim at a very high rate, the defense is gonna keep reacting to him like a big time threat. When they're running 5 out, Gafford is still gonna drop from the weak side and concede that kickout pass. White gets a great look from 3 that doesn't fall, but Drew's right there for a second chance and hits Tatum for easy points. Here's another one where he easily gets around Luka on a drive, which brings not 1 but 2 extra defenders to the ball. From there, he just has to find the open shooter, although Hauser misses on another quality shot. Sometimes they've even pre-rotated their defense to prevent him from touching the paint altogether. They know he'll beat Lively off the dribble, so Luka's waiting to meet him early. As long as he's creating looks like this, whether or not the shots are falling, Boston will be happy. I only have 2 gripes with him in these spots, and no, the finishing isn't one of them. If he's getting to the rim and missing, I don't think it's a bad thing. What I do think is a bad thing is when he settles for shots like this. The pull-up 3 is typically a decent shot for him, but it's the situation I'm talking about. A big is guarding him 25 to 30 feet away from the basket, and the rim protector is Luka. Anytime he settles, he's letting the defense off the hook, especially when he's cold like this. My second gripe is that I think he's been a little bit too careless with the ball. He's averaging 4.5 turnovers a game, and a lot of them have felt avoidable. Like here, I think he should have kicked it to Kristaps as soon as Gafford stepped over, but he instead gathers late and Kyrie steals it from behind. A bigger problem in these spots though has been his use of pace, or lack thereof. There have been a few drives where it looks like the defense is really speeding him up, and he runs into multiple defenders with no real outlet. With that said, I think his time with the ball has led to a lot more good than bad. He's averaging 23.5 drives a game, most of which result in him getting both feet in the paint. From there, he's done a good job of making the right decisions, and we've yet to see a hot shooting night from the Celtics. Eventually, those shots start falling though, so as long as he continues to get into the defense time and time again, and his teammates get open 3 after open 3, the defense is in serious trouble. That's if they aren't put into a complete rotation though, because the luxury of this roster is that in addition to having multiple shooters, they have multiple ball handlers such as Jrue Holiday who can attack off the catch and get to the rim. So a lot of Boston possessions end up in multiple guys just driving, kicking, and moving the ball around until they find a shot they like, which is where it's imperative that Tatum makes quick decisions as an off-ball player. As I keep saying, this has not been his series when it comes to actually making shots. That also applies to these spot-up threes. Just like with the interior finishing though, what's more important is his willingness to take them and how he typically shoots. Over the last 3 seasons, he's hit over 40% of his threes off the catch. That's among the best in the league. So when he's spotting up, the defense is still going to treat him like a 40% shooter, because if not, those shots start falling and then you're really in trouble. That means a big part of his game is how he reacts to closeouts. For one, he's always quick to move the ball. If the first pass comes to him, he'll make that swing pass to the open man for a higher quality look. More importantly though is how effective he is as a slasher. So when Jaylen's the one who creates the initial advantage that gets the ball moving, he'll continue to apply pressure to break down the defense, where we're back to square one with the driving and kicking to shooters. Yes, it is true that with better shooting, he would be more impactful in this series. There's no denying that. But with a quick glance of the box score, you'd miss all of this. His ability to punish mismatches and force the defense into bringing extra help. His constant rim pressure and how that puts the defense into rotation, which leads to easy opportunities for the guys around him. His ability to play off the ball, not just as a spot-up shooter, but as a connector and an off-the-catch attacker. All of these things matter a ton in the grand scheme of team offense, which is why despite shooting well below their typical average from 3 and getting tour dates from their lead creator, they've still produced an offensive rating of 114 in 2 games against the defense that locked down the Western Conference. And that's without even getting into the other side of the ball, because it's his skill set that completely unlocks Boston's defensive scheme. What they're doing is putting him on the 5 and having him switch all screens involving either Luka or Kyrie. From there, the stars are forced to play a game of one-on-one, and he's versatile enough to defend both. Let's be clear though, when we're talking about an isolation scorer of Luka's caliber, he'll pretty much make any defender look like food at times. But the idea here isn't for Tatum to switch onto the ball and be some Luka stopper. What they're doing is preventing a numbers advantage. Through 2 games, there hasn't been a single lob to either Lively or Gafford, and that's because switching the action prevents them from getting behind the defense. Once you stagnate the rest of the offense and turn the game into a one-on-one, creating efficient opportunities becomes a lot harder, and they can start taking advantage of the Mavs' weaknesses. For example, they lack capable above-the-break shooters, so when Luka starts to attack, they can bring help from up top, forcing role players to beat them on a diet of shots that they don't typically shoot. Combine that with what's basically been a no-show from Kyrie, and the offense has quite literally turned into Luka's shot-making versus the Celtics, and the results haven't been pretty. They recorded just a 101.6 offensive rating in games 1 and 2, some of which can be attributed to uncharacteristically poor shooting, but also has a lot to do with Boston's scheme taking away the numbers advantages that have been so crucial all year long for them. A scheme that is unlocked by Jayson Tatum's ability to pick up 5s, imitate a big with his rebounding and rim protection, while switching across the board to offer resistance against all sorts of matchups one-on-one. When you pair that with everything I talked about on offense, from a process standpoint, I'm not sure what more you could want from him. Maybe cutting down on the pull-up 3s, taking better care of the ball, those are fair criticisms. But if the argument is that he's hurting his team because he's missing shots that he typically makes, I'm not sure that's an accurate representation of how much he's influenced on the court for a team that's just 2 wins away from winning an NBA championship. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Tatum's performance. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.